Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah and today I'm going to be doing a foundation tutorial. So if you guys want to see how I apply my foundation and keep it looking flawless literally all day long, then please keep watching. Okay, so one of my most asked questions is how I get my skin to look so good with makeup on, and I wanted to show you guys how I personally apply foundation, and I wanted to make this like a super basic like how to apply foundation tutorial because I feel like this is the type of video I was searching for when I was like figuring out how to perfect my makeup. Like I knew how to do my makeup, I had been wearing makeup for a few years, but I wasn't like perfect at it, and so when I was searching on YouTube, because that's pretty much how I learned how to do my makeup so well, is YouTube. Thank you, YouTube beauty gurus. These are the type of videos that I wanted, so I figured I would make one. So this is going to be like a basic back to school foundation 101 how to apply foundation video. So if you guys want to see how I apply my foundation, it looks pretty damn good, you guys. I'm not gonna lie. I'm proud of how I do my makeup these days. So if you guys want to see my techniques and how I apply foundation and my little tips and tricks, then please keep watching. Okay, so for me, the very first most important step to applying your foundation and having it look amazing and flawless would be to start with a like nice base, aka your skin. So I always make sure that I have a clean, freshly washed and exfoliated face. I do not have sensitive skin at all. I have really big pores in here also, and I kind of get like a lot of blackheads in this area. So for me, I personally like to exfoliate my face every single day. I know a lot of people might think that's a little harsh, but for me, that's how my skin looks the best. So for me, what I like to do is make sure that my face is super clean, freshly washed, and exfoliated, especially in this T-zone area where I get all my little blackheads. And that's like the most important step in applying foundation if you want it to look good. Okay, so then after you clean and exfoliate your face, it's very important to moisturize. So I like to use these two. This one is the Glam Glow. This is the Glam Glow Bright Eyes. This is a illuminating anti-fatigue eye cream, and I actually keep my eye cream and my moisturizer in a little face fridge, if you will. It's just like a little tiny refrigerator, but I like to keep my skincare products in there so they're nice and cool when I put them on my face. And I just apply a little bit of this underneath my eyes with my pinky, and this is gonna help prevent any like wrinkles. I tend to get like wrinkles right here, which sucks. I feel like I need Botox or like under eye filler or something, but this is just gonna prevent those wrinkles from showing up too much because it's really gonna hydrate the under eye area. Okay, and then after my eye cream, I always go in with my moisturizer. I love this one so much. It's so good. Pretty thick, but good. And I just take some on my finger and then place it all around my face. And then I just rub it in like this. I kind of put a lot, but that's okay. If you put too much, you can just bring it down your neck, because that's important too, you guys. Your neck. Don't forget your neck. And then the forehead as well. I'm so mad about my hair. I'm having a bad hair day, you guys. That's why I threw it up in this like clip. I hate wearing my hair up when it's clean because I feel like I'm not taking advantage of my clean hair. But I decided to use a different curling iron, and it had a really small barrel, and my hair has all these like ugly tight ringlets. It looks really bad. I'm so mad at myself for doing that. I like damaged my hair for no reason. I feel like every time I use the curling iron, it's damaging. It is. It really is. But that's why my hair is up, because I don't like the way these curls turned out. Okay, so after I moisturize my face, it's time to move on to primer. This is also a very important step, and you guys, there's so many different options for primers. I can't really tell you which one is the best. I personally love this one from Too Faced. This is the Too Faced Hangover RX Replenishing Face primer with coconut water, probiotic based ingredient, and skin revivers. It is silicone free, so I personally feel like it feels more like a face lotion than a primer, but I like that as for a primer. So this is my personal favorites, one of my personal favorites, and I love it because it's so moisturizing. It's not like mattifying or anything like that. But with that being said, there is mattifying primers, there's illuminating primers, there's moisturizing primers, there's pore filling primers. There's so many different primers. There's dewy primers, like literally there's so many different options out there. It's kind of just like trial and error. You gotta try them before you can knock them, you know what I mean? Like you just gotta try them all so you can figure out which one works best for you. So anyways, moving on. This is my favorite, and I just take a little bit of this. Oh, there's a chunky. I haven't used it in a while, but I just take a little bit of it and I just massage it into my skin, and my skin's feeling amazing, super hydrated. My skin looks good, you guys. Look at that. I have a little breakout right here, a little one. That's because I'm going to start my period, but other than that, my skin is looking pretty good, not too shabby. Alright, after primer, it's time for foundation, the star of the show. But before I apply my foundation, I want to talk about tools. So I personally only ever apply my foundation with either a brush like this, which is like a big fluffy powder brush, or a sponge like this. This one's kind of dirty, I'm sorry. This is the Wet n Wild beauty sponge. Honestly, just as good as the Beauty Blender, and it's only $5. But and this is the Moda Cosmetics brush, but any brush that looks like this will work. I personally have been loving using a brush just because it's a little more convenient. I don't have to get up and wet my Beauty Blender, beauty sponge, whatever. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how I apply my foundation with a brush, but figuring out what tool works best for you is another one of those trial and error things. You just gotta do it and see how you like it. There's also those like little silicone spongy things, which it's not like a sponge, it's more just like a silicone like little, I don't even know how to describe it. I wish I had one to show you, but they're like these flat little like squishy silicone plasticky like rubbery almost like eraser looking things. Maybe I'll put a picture of it somewhere, but those, for example, I hate those. They don't look good. Maybe I don't know how to use them or something, but when I use them to apply my foundation, it never looks good. It looks weird and just patchy and bad. Those don't work for me, so I know that. And also, like, some people use their fingers to apply their foundation. That doesn't work for me either. I think mainly because I don't like to get my hands dirty like that. It makes me feel like kind of ratchet and dirty. I don't know. Even though I see girls doing it and the end result is amazing. But me personally, I think it's more of like the feeling of the foundation on my fingers. I don't like that. So that doesn't work for me either. For me, it's always either a brush or a sponge, and these are the only tools that I use to apply my foundation. So for you, you know, it's just personal preference. Maybe you like to use your fingers, maybe you like to use those little silicone spongy things. Like, I don't know, I can't tell you what's best for you, but for me, these are what I like. And I get a lot of people, I've had a lot of girls say, like, really, you use a big powder brush for your foundation? The reason I like to use a powder brush is because look how big it is, like, on my face. It just covers so much ground, and I feel like it makes applying my foundation super easy and quick, and I don't have to like prep this in any way. I can literally just use it. And then when I apply my foundation with the brush, I just tap it like this. I'm not rubbing it around my face, I'm just tapping it. And then it always blends out flawlessly. Seriously. If you haven't tried a big powder brush for your foundation, you need to try it. And I'm talking liquid foundation, you guys, not powder foundation, liquid foundation. Also, when I use a sponge, something to keep in mind is you need to get these wet. So you need to run them under the water and like squeeze it all out, and then run it under water, squeeze it all out. And you want to make sure you squeeze it all the way out before you use it so that the sponge is just damp, and it's going to get bigger in size, and it's just going to prevent the sponge from soaking up all the foundation because there's water in it, so it can't soak up anything else. So I've seen girls use these dry, and it makes me cringe because you have to get them wet. I know a lot of girls don't know that, but you need to get these wet, okay? So run it under the sink, make sure it's super saturated, and then squeeze it all out so it's it's just damp and then it's ready to use. And when I use these, I personally like to use the little fat butt part of it. And again, I'm just tapping the foundation onto my skin. I'm never rubbing it or swiping it or wiping it. I'm like literally just tapping it, and I feel like that always gives the best blend when I do it this way. Okay, so now we've talked about tools. Let's move on to actually applying foundation. And yeah. Okay, so before you apply your foundation, you want to make sure that you have one that you like and that works good. Not every foundation is good for everyone. Like I know for me, dewy foundations just don't work with my skin. I have super oily skin, so when I wear a dewy foundation, it just looks gross. It's not a good look for me, and so I know that dewy foundations don't work for me. But there's so many different foundations out there. There's, there's minimal coverage, there's medium coverage, there's full coverage, there's matte foundations, there's dewy foundations. There's just so many different types, consistencies of foundations that it's another one of those trial and error things. You just need to try different ones out until you find the one that works best for you. I'm going to be using this one today. This is the Smashbox Studio Skin 15-Hour Wear Hydrating Foundation. It is an oil-free foundation, and I'm using the shade 2.18. It says this is for light to medium skin tones, and it has a neutral undertone. I really like these foundations. I feel like they wear so well on the skin, especially my skin. I have oily skin, and I can go literally 15 hours, if not longer, wearing this and not touching it up once, and it still looks great. Even when my skin does get a little bit oily, it just like, I don't know, mixes with the foundation and still looks amazing. So I really, really love this foundation. I also love that they have so many different shades, and that they, on the bottom it tells you like what skin tone it's for and what the undertone is. So I really, really like that, because not all foundations have that on the label. What else? Oh, you want to make sure that you find a shade that is good for your skin tone. This one is a little bit dark for me, but that's because I like to fake tan. Actually, my fake tan kind of is coming off right now, but I'm gonna make this work anyways. But make sure that you find a shade that works well and matches you. That's important. And when I apply this, I just like to take this, oh wait, hold on. Okay, so when I apply this, I like to apply it directly to my face like this. I personally like foundations that have the pump. I just feel like it makes it easier. So I pump out some onto my face directly like this. I'll put a little bit on my chin, like literally a dot. And in the past, I've like squirted it onto my brush or onto my beauty blender, beauty sponge, whatever. But I personally like to do it directly onto my face, because I feel like sometimes when you do it on your brush, like the product goes into the brush, or the sponge immediately starts, I feel like you get the most out of your foundation when you just put it directly onto your face. I don't know if that's even true, but that's just my theory. That's how I think. So I feel like I get most of the product on my face when I apply it directly to my face like I just did. So yeah. So anyways, I'm just going to start blending this out. And it's better to start off with less product than more, because you can always add but you can't subtract. Sometimes even me, I do this every day, but sometimes I apply a little bit too much product and then I feel like I have too much foundation on. So I mean, by now I've pretty much figured out how much to squeeze out onto my face, but even sometimes I squeeze out a little bit too much product. So just be careful that you don't squeeze out too much, because you don't want to apply too much foundation. If you apply too much, it could look cakey, but even that is another kind of trial and error thing, like to figure out the right amount for you and what look you're going for or whatever, because some people like to have a lot of product on their face, and some people look good with a lot of product on their face. I know that sometimes if I put too much product on my face, it could look cakey, and you want to avoid looking cakey. And another thing to remember is always bring your foundation down your neck. I feel like we've all had that like line here before, because you just like, for some reason you think that foundation only goes on your face, but really it's meant to go everywhere. Like bring it down your neck so that it looks natural, so you don't see like a line, so it doesn't look like you have dirt on your face, or blend it down your neck. And see, I'm just applying this using tapping motions or stippling. I don't even know what that means, but I'm just using this brush and tapping it all over my face. I'm never ever dragging it or pulling it around. I'm literally tapping it all over and moving quickly, but I'm not rubbing this. I'm just tapping and it's looking amazing. And I personally avoid my eyebrows. I don't think foundation ever looks good in the eyebrow. You could see it in the eyebrow. So avoid your eyebrows, work around them. And I also like to blend it up into my hairline. I have darker roots, so I can get away with it. I know, you know, my platinum blonde girls out there, you have to be more careful because your hair starts turning orange at the root if your foundation gets in there, but I do try and blend my foundation into my roots, or up into my hairline, I mean, so that it looks as natural as possible. And then normally I would take the foundation onto my ears, but since I have all these crazy ear piercings going on and they're fairly new, I don't want to irritate them, so I'm going to leave my ears alone. But usually I would take the foundation onto my ears so that my ears are the same color as my face, and then kind of just tap over the entire face. Okay, so everything looks pretty blended and nice. I'm just going to kind of tap over the entire face a little bit more, but it looks really nice. And if you feel like you need more foundation, a lot of foundations are buildable. Some are not as buildable as others, but you really don't know until you use it. So I know this specific foundation, if I wanted to apply a little bit more, it's super buildable. I could totally do a whole nother layer and it's still going to look amazing. So just be careful that you don't get too cakey with your foundation. And then another way to have your foundation last all day is to set your foundation. Where is my setting powder? So the setting powder that I love is this one. Okay, so I went ahead and applied a little bronzer off camera because I like to do my bronzer before I set my face. But I wanted to tell you that in order to keep your foundation looking and staying flawless all day, you need to set your face, you guys. This is so important. So important. Okay, so I like to set my face with a setting powder and then a setting spray. My favorite setting powder is this one right here. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Setting Powder in the shade 10 Fair Light. This is so good. This is my second container. It's so good. So I used to bake with this, but I don't really like to bake anymore. And I just use this little setting brush. This is the Real Technique setting brush. And I kind of just take whatever powder is here in the lid, which there is not that much, tap out the brush, and then I like to set underneath my eyes like this. I kind of bring it all the way down here and set like kind of this whole cheek area right in here underneath my eye. And then I like to bring it out here to the tops of my cheekbones. And really it gives this like, look at my skin. Look at that. It just gives this like super flawless, smoothing, almost like Facetune effect. This setting powder is so good, and it's going to help my foundation last all day long. And obviously I'm going to do that on both sides. And like I said, I used to bake, which means I would apply like excessive amounts of powder underneath my eyes and then over here and in different areas of my face, let it sit for like 10 to 15 minutes, and then I would brush it away. But I don't do that anymore. I just apply a thin little layer of this powder and leave it, and it's good all day. And another thing is I'm tapping the powder on too. I'm just kind of like stamping it on. See how I'm using the brush? I'm not rubbing the brush around my face. I'm not like blending this into my skin. I'm literally just pressing it into my skin. I'm tapping this brush. So essentially I'm using tapping motions for this whole entire foundation routine. Sometimes I'll set my chin a little bit too. The main areas that I set, I'll set up here too in between my eyebrows, but the main areas that I set are just in here, and then I set my entire nose because for some reason foundation tends to like slide around. Oh, there's like a hair. Oh my god. Okay. Foundation tends to slide around on my nose a little bit, and I find that when I set my entire nose with setting powder, it stays really well. So that's that. I'm going to do the rest of my face off camera since this is only a foundation 101. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and applied the rest of my face makeup so that when I set my face with setting spray, you know, everything gets set. The reason I'm not showing you is once again because this is just a foundation tutorial. That's all we're talking about today, is just foundation. So if you want to know how to apply any other products, let me know. I kind of want to do a series, like kind of like a beauty 101 series, like let's get down to the basics, you know what I mean? Like foundation, how to apply blush, how to apply concealer, how to apply contour feel me? Like, but today is just foundation. So if you guys want to see how to apply any other products, please let me know, because I know that when I was first doing makeup, or even just like 4 years ago, even there's still some products today where I'm like, how the fuck do I use that? You know, and you want someone to show you. So just let me know, guys. Anyways, another way to keep your foundation looking perfect and flawless all day is by using a setting spray. And there's so many different setting sprays. There's dewy setting sprays, there's mattifying setting sprays, there's sparkly setting sprays, there's hydrating setting sprays. There's seriously so many different setting sprays. My personal favorite is this one. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter Summer Solstice setting spray, and this is a long-lasting makeup setting spray, and it says up to 16-hour wear, lightweight, temperature control technology, blah blah blah. This is the Summer Solstice one, which just means that it has a different scent. Smells like summer solstice. But then there's like the original all-nighter setting spray. They're all the same thing. This one just has a different scent. This is really good though. Honestly, it's so good, and I totally see a difference in my makeup when I use a setting spray versus not using a setting spray. Like I said, this is one of my favorites, but another one of my favorites is, these are my other favorite setting sprays. This is the Too Faced Peach Mist setting spray, and this is a mattifying setting spray. It definitely makes my skin a little bit more matte. This one is the Too Faced Hangover 3-in-1 setting spray. This is more of like a hydrating one, I would say. And then this one I feel like is kind of in between. It's like hydrating but still keeps you looking kind of matte, you know? This is my favorite one, but I'll use these ones too. Also, there's a hair stuck in the lid of this one. That's gross. Ew. Okay. Depending on what foundation I'm using, like if I'm wearing a super matte, like super matte, almost like drying out my skin type of foundation, then I'll choose a more like hydrating setting spray. If I'm using like a super kind of like dewy foundation, or one that tends to get more dewy looking like the longer I wear it, then I'll use like a mattifying one. It kind of just depends like what foundation I'm wearing and what I'm in the mood for, or like what the weather is. So like if I know I'm going to be sweating but still have to have like a full face of makeup, I'll do like a matte one. It's another one of those trial and error things, but that's kind of how I determine which setting spray I'm using. Honestly, this one I feel works with like every single foundation that I use, so that's why I like this one the most, and that's why I use this one the most, because it's kind of just like the one that I could reach for all the time no matter what. But there is times where, depending on what foundation I'm wearing, that's going to determine what kind of setting spray I use. It doesn't have to be that complicated, but that's just how I do it, guys. But either way, setting spray is important, and don't forget to use setting spray. I know if you haven't used it before, it could be a little weird because you're like spraying your makeup with a liquid. Let's set my face right now. So I kind of use a lot, you guys, because I want to make sure that I cover like every inch of my face. And if you don't use setting spray at first, it could be a little scary because you're like, oh my god, my makeup's getting wet. But trust me, once it dries, it's going to be fine. And I don't know about you, but you know when you apply a fresh face of makeup and it almost looks a little too fresh, you feel me? Like you want it to kind of set a little bit and mix with your natural oils. Like this is going to help you get there a little bit quicker. Because I know like back in the day before I used setting spray, I would like do a fresh awesome makeup look, but it would look a little bit too fresh, almost kind of powdery, you know, like, and I would tell myself like, oh, it's gonna look great in like 30 minutes to an hour, like once it kind of sets in. But setting spray is just gonna get you there quicker. So don't forget your freaking setting spray, you guys. Very important. You spray that on and then you let it dry, and then you're just good to go all day. And you guys, in high school I used to use hairspray as setting spray, and it worked really good, but it felt really thick. It was literally like a layer of glue. And in high school I was able to sleep with my makeup on because of that. Like literally it would just like seal. It was like a face sealant. I would use the purple Aussie, I think it was the Fine Hold or the Medium Hold foundation hairspray, the aerosol can, and I would just spray that bad boy all over my face and then like go to prom or go to school or whatever I was doing. I freaking used hairspray as setting spray and it actually worked good. I don't know how good it is for your skin, but it did work good and I should try it again just for the fun of it. But yeah, and then there was also a time after that where I didn't use any setting spray at all because I didn't think that it was important, and then I one day was like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna use setting spray. And then I realized how important setting spray really is, and truly it's so important. So don't skip your setting spray, it's so important. And yeah, so that is it for this foundation 101 tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed these little tips. I hope I answered some of your questions. If you have any further questions about foundation or how to apply it, please leave your comments or questions in the comment section below. If you like this video, please let me know by giving it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!